And welcome back to another stream. Now, we're going to go ahead and go... Wow, that was just really clusterfuck right there. I should put that maybe a little bit higher. What do you guys think? Where is it? Viewer chat? No, not chat highlight. Real chat box. Here it is. Throw it just a little bit higher. There we go. Alright. Now we're going to go ahead and continue the Strife Hayes video, his MMO tier list. It just was starting to heat up with some MMOs that we're starting to recognize. He's starting getting out of niche stuff, and he's starting getting into the more well-known MMOs. Let's continue.
Knight Online. One of the most popular Turkish MMOs, Knight Online launched in 2004 and is still going. Available on Steam to mostly positive reviews. Generic Eastern European gameplay.
This is not one of them.
Cracking soundtrack. 168, Strife. Strife, or Fly for Fun, launched back in 2004 and has seen incredible success since, being translated to 10 different languages and relaunching with some differences as Strife Universe.
This had to have been a PlayStation game.
Mobile, tablet, and PC. Still online, still
maybe
doing
not.
Well. 167, Ark, Survival of the Fittest.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, now, Ark Survival is not a fucking MMO. It's a survival game. It's in the fucking title.
You've probably heard of Ark, Survival Evolved, which launched in 2017. Well, 1 year earlier in 2016, Ark, Survival of the Fittest launched as a standalone game.
Yeah, and it was boshed because it was shit.
It was a battle royale esport and even had a cash prize pool sometimes. It was merged into the main Survival Evolved game when it launched. Not really an MMORPG.
At all.
166, Landmark.
It's barely
this
battle
is
royale.
An interesting one. Landmark was originally known as EverQuest Next Landmark, and it was a toolkit for players to make content for EverQuest Next, another game which wouldn't happen. But then the EverQuest Next Landmark toolkit was renamed to just Landmark and launched as a standalone game in 2016,
visually pleasing,
keeping some of its player creation properties, and died only 1 year later. 165, Pax Dei.
Pax Day was dead on arrival, in my opinion. They wanted to make a building survival game, but the thing was, their combat and gameplay loop was so bad. And the only thing that they really had going for them was being able to make big old keeps and nice looking houses. But the thing is, they couldn't even have an RP element because they didn't have any static emotes or anything. They didn't even bring anything for the RP community, which probably would love the shit out of this. Making their own town and stuff, it would have been a great RP game.
That's how it's pronounced, the developers said so, is a sandbox MMO made in Unreal Engine 5, which features such innovative and unique gameplay mechanics.
It visually
as crafting,
looks good.
Building, survival stuff, maybe some PvE, possibly PvP if they're feeling
I've had
spicy.
a lot of friends that play
Recently
it and they
been
just
hit by the
stopped after they built their
controversy.
shitty box.
Answer, maybe. 164, Tabula Rasa. Tabula rasa is the philosophical idea of the brain being completely empty and only filled in by sensory or perceived experiences, such as data would be written onto a blank tablet, or tabula. It was also a shooter sci-fi MMORPG by Richard Garriott, the guy behind the Ultima series, releasing in 2007, going free-to-play 2 years later, and shutting down only 1 month after becoming free-to-play. 163, Raiders. Raiders is another Korean MMO launching in 2012 and being funded by a real money cash shop, so of course it was incredibly bad to win, but it still shut down in 2015 when the entire development company just sort of mysteriously vanished. It
just
exists
disappeared
now on private servers. 162,
I bet they disappeared with their money too.
Firefall. Firefall was a sci-fi shooter MMO from Red 5 Studios led by Mark Kern, one of the original guys behind World of Warcraft, now the guy trying to make Ember, the 232nd game on this list. Firefall launched in 2014 and then shut down in 2017. It is, however, most famous for spending several $1 million of its marketing budget on a real-world promotional bus which travelled around and let people play Firefall on it. More videos and social media posts have now been made about the bus than about the game. 161, Dust 514. This was a first-person shooter, and while not a standalone MMO itself,
it's reminiscent of Battlefield
514 was connected to the MMO EVE Online. In many ways, it was a spin-off. Action in one game could affect the other. Victories, losses,
something about that kill feed whenever somebody dies, like up there in the right-hand side, just reminds me of Battlefield.
Trading alliances. It was meant to be the boots-on-the-ground experience within EVE. Releasing in 2013, it only lasted 3 years and shut down in 2016, likely because the EVE players couldn't find the spreadsheet weapon. 160, Decaron. Decaron is a Korean action MMO translated into English and relaunched under the new name Two Moons. The original Decaron limps along on private servers, but they did launch a mobile version called Decaron G, which shut down in 2024. 159. Worm Online. This was a hardcore survival MMO famous for being very, very grindy. It was made by Rolf Jansen and Marcus Persson.
I was gonna say, this one doesn't look so bad.
Known as the guy who made Minecraft, and Rolf would go on to become known as the other guy who made Worm Online. 158. Shadowbane. This was a fantasy MMO launching in 2003, 1 year before World of Warcraft. It was created by a team very familiar with classic text-based multi-user dungeons, or MUDs. It hit the top 10 selling PC games at the time and was the first MMO to feature dynamic terrain. So
really?
Players could destroy buildings, dig paths around mountains, but stability issues with doing this plagued the game. So in 2008, the game had a reboot, deleting all player and city data to begin again, and players didn't like this, so it never quite recovered.
Oh no, you can't get rid of player progress.
157. World of Warships. World of Warships.
I've actually heard good games about this. I'm surprised it's all the way down at 7.
This is what would happen if World of Tanks had a beach episode. A naval war.
At 157, I mean, I'm just surprised it's so far back. I figured like a lot of older guys would really like this game.
Warfare MMO with a slower pace, freemium cash shop, and lots of YouTuber adverts. If you really like the ocean or using maths to work out the exact angle of a really long-range cannon shot, you'll love World of Warships. Just be aware it has such a problem with new players being ganked. One of the most popular videos.
Oh, it's open PvP? Oh, shit.
New player problem. 156. Marvel Heroes. Marvel Heroes was an isometric action MMO.
I feel like any MMO that just goes straight open PvP is already hindering themselves. Because not only do you have trolls that'll find ways to actually gank new players, I mean, shit. It just ruins the entire new game experience. Look at Mortal Online 2. A very good game. Good gameplay mechanics. Couple downsides is that it's got an empty-ish world, which, I mean, makes sense because when they developed the game, they developed it with millions of players online in mind. But really, all the casual players got kind of whittled out at the beginning, and all that's left were the casuals and the trolls. Not the casuals, but the sweaties and the trolls.
MMO where you could play as famous Marvel heroes, such as the ones in the Avengers, or unknown Marvel heroes, such as the ones not in the Avengers. Launched in 2013 and shut down in 2017, it lasted 4 years, which was about the length
I think
of
I
time
remember
no
this
one
game.
really cared about Marvel films. 155. Dota 2.
Oh, God.
Why is Dota 2 on the list?
Why?
Insult the chart. It was nominated by Video 29. It's free MMO station. Again, stop saying MOBAs are MMOs. This is supposed to be a scientific video. You are ruining science.
So, some people can view MMO as a kind of niche term. It's a massive multiplayer online, but what's contingent of massive? Hundreds of thousands of players? Some people say that MMOs are things like New World and World of Warcraft. Massive multiplayers all existing in the same server at once. But then, could you not say that it's a massive amount of people to say that 100 people in a server at once? I mean, I don't think Dota 2 is on it, but I'm saying that the term's kind of, it's vague, what an MMO is. I mean, I have an idea of what an MMO is. It could probably be manipulated to be
Broken Ranks. This
something
was
that's
an
not
isometric
viewed
adventure
as an
MMO where
you know?
combat switched to a tactical side-by-side turn-based style, plagued by technical issues such as only the party leader being able to control every member even though they were other players, and an egregious pay-to-win cash shop saw the player base crumble quickly. Still online, but not doing well. 153. Adventure Quest 3D. Adventure Quest 3D takes all the side-scrolling charm of the original Adventure Quest and slaps in a third dimension, which honestly doesn't really add that much. Now, the original Adventure Quest and Dragon Fable are some of my favourite RPGs ever. The third dimension didn't really improve it for me, but it is successful and plays well cross-platform from...
If it was more visually pleasing, maybe it would have done better. It looks like it was kind of just thrown together. I mean, look, that box is like halfway off the terrain. And nothing looks like it's meant to be there.
Loyal to PC. 152. Palia. This is a more chilled MMO focusing on life skills, farming, fishing, hunting, mining, and crafting.
That looks
the
good.
Smaller server size caused a lot of people to say Palia isn't really a massively multiplayer game, and the lack of combat meant it did struggle to find a mainstream audience. It's niche, but still online. 151.
Oh
Mythos,
God, the frames.
Hack and slash Diablo style MMO which launched back in closed beta in 2011. It was originally just a network and tech test for the developer's other title, Hellgate London. But Mythos saw enough success to remain online for a few years itself. It went through a few developer changes but died in 2011, then relaunched as a single-player game in 2022. 150. Dragon's Prophet. Dragon's Prophet was an action MMO launching in 2013. Players could capture a variety of dragons and use them as mounts, and the endgame was a big sandbox PvP arena. Shut down in 2020. 149. Frozen Flame, another early
Why is Frozen Flame on here? It's not an MMO either. It's another sandbox survival.
access survival MMO with that thick, smooth action figure art style. Frozen Flame had PvP, gathering, crafting, and all the buttons and UI elements had that modern diamond
Was it an MMO? I thought it was just a survival game. Am I
shaped
fucking
aesthetic
wrong?
because there was a period of time when all of game design decided to do that. 148. Shin Megami Tensei Imagine Online. Shin Megami Tensei Imagine Online, previously known as Shin Megami Tensei Imagine, previously known as Megami Tensei Online Imagine, was an attempt to make an online version of Shin Megami Tensei 9, and Shin Megami launched in 2007 and went Shin Megami Tensei offline in 2016. 147. 9 dragons. Studies have shown that 8 is not enough dragons and 10 is far too many dragons. The optimal amount of dragons for an MMORPG is 9. Due to this, 9 dragons is still online. 146. Elite Dangerous.
Oh, Senate would be so upset that it's all the way down at 146. He would be so sad. This game is actually really cool in VR. If you like space games, I would recommend this any day of the week, especially if you have a VR headset. You can't quite, but you can kind of control it with the controllers. They do now have an ability where you can kind of jump out of your ship and walk around in first person now. But I mean, it's actually kind of fun game, to be honest. It's super complex and super hardcore. They also have a PvE area.
Odyssey. This was a paid expansion for the space sim Elite
Oh yeah,
Dangerous,
super pay to win,
focusing
by
on
the way.
shootouts in hangars and on the planet's surface. The alpha for this was available in 2021. It went through a rough few years and was ultimately killed in 2022 because it was hard to support the main game of Elite Dangerous and this for all consoles while also progressing the
Wait, my understanding is that Elite Dangerous is still alive. I don't think it's done.
overall story. 145. Creativerse. Creativerse is a $20 Minecraft knockoff. It was originally free. If we consult the chart, we can see it's on this list because of video 62. On March 17th, 2020, channel Mr. MacWright released Top 10 Mac MMO Games 2020. And Creativerse came third on that list. So it's here because of the Mac gamers. And you know what? They're both probably really happy it's here. 144. Conqueror's Blade.
Whoa, Conqueror's Blade's all the way down here? This is such a good game. Why is it at 144?
Blade is just Western medieval
I would have
dynasty
thought top
warriors,
50
a
at
combination
least.
of tactical real-time strategy, MMO, and hack and slash. You take control of your powerful dude and mow down waves of NPCs searching for the enemy's powerful dude in
This game is
castle
like an
sieges.
RP
Released in
battler's
2019 and
dream.
still going. 143. Mabinogi, another cutesy Korean MMO. Mabinogi, released in 2004, did extremely well, had a console released teased, but that never actually happened, and then a recent engine upgrade shows the devs are really investing into it. And why wouldn't they? It's already made over $600 million.
Holy shit.
142. Mad World. Let's clear something up. This is Mad World, an ultra-stylized black and white hyper-violent brawler released on the Nintendo Wii. It's 18 rated and features the voice talents of Steve Blum.
It's an
This
MMO?
is Mad World, an ultra-stylized in a different way, somewhat violent top-down MMO released on PC and probably doesn't feature Steve Blum. They are not the same game. And the amount of review videos I've watched talking about the Mad World MMO using the wrong footage is shocking. The Mad World MMO, released in 2024 and due to a botched release, payment issues and enemies in the game having way more health than intended, it turned new players away and shut down almost.
Honestly, and I've seen clips of this game, it didn't look bad. Not at all, actually. It looked kind of neat.
Immediately.
I mean, look at that design.
141. Critica Online. This is an instance-based stylized MMO with button-mashing combat and most of the dev time apparently spent on the extremely realistic jiggle physics.
Ooh, how did they fail?
Welcome back, everyone.
Oh,
Who had this playing on a second monitor in the background. Good to have you with us. We are 141 games in, almost halfway.
He's gonna get attention somehow.
Sang Online. This is a top-down Diablo-style hack-and-slash MMO launched in 2011. It is not connected to the previous Drakensang games, The Dark Eye and The Rivers of Time. It has a Metacritic score of 69 out of 100, which is nice. 139. Bloodline Champions.
Nice.
This, again, is not an MMO. It's a MOBA. Why is it here? Consult the chart. Bloodline Champions scored 8 points from Video 24, which we can find out.
Okay, I could get survival games being called an MMO. Sometimes those can have like hundreds of people do a server. These fucking MOBA games are not an MMO.
Is top
Not
10
even close.
MMO PC games best MMOs by Waterplay? No, Waterplay Bloodline Champions is not one of the top 10 MMOs. It's a PvP MOBA which shut down in 2015. If these are the kind of videos the general gaming populace is being served, it's no wonder nobody knows what this genre actually is. 138. Dynasty Warriors Online. Dynasty Warriors Online is the Dynasty Warrior version of the Conqueror's Blade game, which was the Western version of Dynasty Warriors. Releasing in 2010, the over-the-top battler game has you mow down hordes of enemies and hunt for strong players. Unfortunately, it completely shut down in 2022. 137. Divillion. This was described as Diablo 3 meets an MMO, and now we know what that's actually like. Divillion looks better by comparison. Action MMO, which released in 2015 and shut down 3 years later. 136. Ember Sword, an open-world sandbox crafting survival PvP MMO with a player-driven economy, and we've never had one of those before. Unfortunately,
I think games that leave it completely up to the player to make the story just they can't survive because a lot of people aren't that creative. I mean, you always get those small niche RP communities, but MMOs that try to go make your own path, choose your own destiny, make your own world. None of those really do well. I can't think of any that are like thriving today along the side of ESO or WoW or Final Fantasy 14. I mean, every game has to have some kind of narrative that drives the player forward, at least for the casual players, because that's how you get them hooked.
It's a crypto game. 135. Last Chaos. This is a 2006 MMORPG from our favorite gaming duo Area Games and GamerGo. It is extremely grindy, and GamerGo sold the rights about a year ago. And when even GamerGo gives up on something, you know it's been milked as much as milking allows. 134. Temtem. This is a kickstarted
Legally different Pokemon
MMO about capturing creatures then battling with them. It looks and plays
whoa, why did Pal World get shit when there's this game out here? What the fuck?
exactly like Pokemon, so we all need to agree
It's tall grass!
to be cool and just not tell Nintendo this exists. 133. Dragon Nest. Not Dragon's Nest, no S, just Dragon Nest. Another fast-paced Korean fantasy MMO releasing in 2010, touting itself as the world's fastest PvP, and it might be, because it's still online. 132. Forsaken World. This is a Chinese action MMO similar to Perfect World, except while that game is perfect, this one is Forsaken. A mobile version released in 2020, then all versions shut down in 2022. 131. Dungeon Fighter Online.
I have never been a fan of this style of game.
Releasing in 2005, DFO is one of the longest-running MMOs on this list and one of the most successful franchises, with over 800 million players since launch and a revenue of over $20 billion.
Really?
It is massive in the East, but could never quite make it in the West, with Western servers shutting down in 2013. 130. Shroud of the Avatar. Richard Garriott made Ultima, then a few more Ultima.
Look at that combat. No wonder this game didn't go. Combat should be like intense. It should be good. It should be faster paced. Look at this.
Games, then Ultima Online, which was amazing. Then he made Shroud of the Avatar Forsaken Virtues, which proved that maybe he just got really lucky with Ultima. A hybrid single-player RPG with MMO function, Shroud of the Avatar Forsaken Virtues had player-owned and built towns, which led to garish buildings and garbled aesthetics. Famously,
letting players build their own house will always ruin the immersion of your game.
To raise money for this, Richard Garriott sold 5 vials of his actual blood on eBay. They shut the listings down because you're not allowed to do that, but then those 5 vials sold through the game's in-game shop. So 5 people, somewhere, could clone Richard Garriott. Please don't. 129. ArcAge 2. ArcAge 2 had a trailer, then nothing, then ArcAge Chronicles released, and we're all not sure if it is ArcAge 2 or an MMO, because advertisers use the letters MMO to mean anything remotely online. But goddamn top 10 lists just loved including...
I mean, visually it looks good. I don't remember hearing anything about this game.
ArcAge 2, so it's on this list as well. 128. Stars Reach.
Oh god,
Stars Reach
a furry
is an
game.
world sandbox gathering crafting MMO using
Someone
that
don't tell
art style
Fillion.
they all use, but this one is sci-fi. It's promising all the things all the others promise, and it promises it will definitely release soon. Pinky promise, cross my heart and hope to die. Will it? Who knows? 127. World of the Living Dead. This is a text-based zombie survival MMO with a graphical interface. Played using menus and reading, interestingly it uses actual real-world map data for the in-game world.
believe it or not, there's probably a pretty decent player base for this.
which was an interesting concept for the time, but it didn't have mass appeal and shut down in 2014.
Really?
126
like that would've
Dungeon
went well.
Runners. This was a third-person Diablo-style MMO focused on, as the name suggests, running dungeons. It was self-aware and satirical, releasing in 2007 and shutting down in 2010.
What is up with that
a few
chat?
videos of people standing around saying their goodbyes as the shutdown happens, which is bittersweet. 125 Defend the Night. This was a dark fantasy indie MMO about defending yourself during said dangerous night. It somehow appeared on multiple top 10 videos despite not releasing. The last update from the devs was 4 years ago, so we can declare that it failed to defend itself and is indeed
God, did you guys see that sword swing?
124 Granado Espada. Granado Barbado is a mid-2000s MMO with a Western European
I'm getting really French vibes from this.
turn of the century vibe, where instead of controlling one character, you control 3. It's a really interesting real-world time period.
Getting
to set
really
an
Frenchy
MMO in,
vibes from
and
this.
the group
Bethesda
gameplay
behind
had
this?
promise, but both of them end up being wasted. It's a potion chugfest, same as all the other games of this style. 123 Saga of Leucemia. Crowdfunded, open world, survival, gathering, crafting, old school, hardcore MMORPG. All words which, when used together at best, should raise some red flags, and at worst, spell doom for your game. Kira TV has an entire series of videos explaining why Saga of Leucemia and other games like it die. Please go and watch them. 122 Overwatch.
Why do you hate me? Why?
Why is-
Why, people? This is not an MMO.
Overwatch on the list? Well, consult the chart. Overwatch featured in video 32, which is MMO Play's top 10 most anticipated MMOs of 2016, and in that video, it took the top spot. If you're ever wondering how much the media care about MMO reporting, the most anticipated MMO of 2016, according to an MMO channel, was Overwatch.
Survival games I can get. Survival games could probably be called an MMO. I mean, like on the strictest terms of what massive means. But this isn't even massive players on the same server. It's an FPS. Well, not even an FPS. It's a... What the fuck were you even called? Overwatch. It's an Overwatch.
121
Team-based shooter?
Justice Online, an extremely graphically impressive Chinese wushu MMO. Imagine Black Desert, but never actually releasing.
Means super
in the
hot
West.
women and super skinny
120
clothing.
Genshin Impact, one of the most successful
This is an MMO.
RPGs ever. Focusing
I could
on
easily call this an
storyline,
MMO.
Switching between a team of characters in combat with different elemental abilities and combining them together, and then not eating Paimon. It's made approximately $1 Genshillion since release, and will probably survive the heat death of the universe. 119 Odin Valhalla Rising. Odin Valhalla Rising is an open-world MMO set within Norse mythology. It's a mobile MMO, and so of course has an autoplay and
it's a
auto
mobile.
battle
I was
feature,
like, man,
meaning
that
if you
looks
don't
kinda
want to play
cool.
it, that's okay. You can watch as it plays itself, or you could, I don't know,
God.
download a game you do want to play.
I hate games that'll play themselves, like Black Desert Online. I did not like the fact that I could just have my character do things without me. I mean, it was little things. It wasn't like it was that big of a deal. But I mean, I don't like my character doing stuff automatically for me because I mean I want to do it. It's why I'm fucking there. I'm not gonna sit there and watch some AI fucking run my character for me. That's nuts.
118 Dune Awakening, a big-budget MMO set on the desert world of
I think this
Arrakis,
is an
riding
MMO.
the wave of successful films.
But it's not out
open
yet.
World, gathering, crafting, build your base, and then walk without rhythm, and you won't attract the worm. Not out yet. Expected early 2025. 117 Motor City Online. The crew before the crew was the crew. Buy classic cars, race them against other people. Launched in 2001, shut down in 2003. Many consider Need for Speed World a spiritual successor, but even that went offline in 2015. 116 Repels, generic Korean MMO. Repels launched in 2006. Every major expansion it goes through is called an Epic, and amazingly, it's still online, currently on Epic 9.9.
Is he teabagging
Hey,
the
that's a
bird?
rhyme. I'm a poet, and I didn't previously know this. 115 Atlas. Atlas was a pirate-themed open-world survival
Atlas was made by the creators of the wildcard creators of Ark Survival. And it was jank. I even got this game. I went in there and I tried playing it, and it was super framey. Even on my mid-range PC on the lowest settings. God, I wish this game actually would have taken off. I really do.
game about building ships and sailing the ocean blue while other players are trying to kill you, which is remarkably easy now because there aren't any other players trying to do that because of...
I'm so sad that it's dead, because this is such a neat concept. Build your own ship, build your own crew, go out, fight other players, board the ship. I want a game like Assassin's Creed Black Flag, but with other players. And my AI crew versus their AI crew. Skull and Bones was supposed to be like that. I was severely disappointed.
Officially shut down in 2024. 114, Fractured, a top-down Diablo-like hack-and-slash dynamic open-world sandbox PvP MMO, and my god, we've never had one of those before. The gimmick here was the karma system, which remembers bad things you do in-game and punishes you for it. 113,
I like that.
Worlds
I like that
Adrift,
accountability.
a calming pirate MMO where you built an airship and sailed around, made by Bossa Studios, famous for I Am Bread and Surgeon Simulator. Worlds
I Am
Adrift
Bread made
unfortunately drifted off and shut down in 2019. 112, League of Legends.
Why? Why is this here? Why is this game here?
Why is this here? Consult the chart. Video 29. Again. This video has done irreparable damage to this ranking list, and this video has 600,000 views. This is why no one knows what an MMO is. 111, Wonder. This was an interesting MMO without combat, focused on wandering around a big island.
Whoa, 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 whoa. An MMO without combat? That's a
Changing form
nuts
between
concept.
human, bird, even tree. Just kind of vibing, really. Launched in 2015 and shut down in 2015 when it discovered that players kind of like combat, and when you base your game around a mystery, people will just Wikipedia whatever the mystery was. 110, Core Punk, one of the newer games on the list, a top-down isometric action MMO, open world, PvP, mobile-light, slower combat and way slower health regen, so combat is more calculated. Takes pride in the whole not holding your hand approach, meaning brutal early game. Let's see how long it can hold a player base for. 109, Atlantica Online. This released in 2008 and looks like a classic open-world Eastern MMO, but the overworld is based on the real world, and the combat system sends you into Final Fantasy-style turn-based fights.
Not the biggest fan of this style. I know it can be good in like niche circumstances, it's just not for
Originally
me.
owned by Nexon, ownership switched to the company Valov, and it is still going today. 108, Starbase. Starbase is what Yahtzee would call a dad game. Disassemble a space station, build a spaceship from the parts, learn the far too deep systems to do absolutely
God, look at those
anything,
menus.
and then try and fly away. Early access was released in 2021, and it's still in early access. 107, Aeon 2. Aeon 2 doesn't exist yet. It's on this list because other lists are so desperate for a new MMO, they keep hyping up games which don't yet exist. 106, Spiral Knights, a cute top-down puzzle platformer released in 2011 and still going strong, winning Best Online Game at the 2011 Game Developer Choice Awards. It
Really?
does use energy as an in-game premium currency, but it's mostly playable completely free. 105, Babylon's Fall. This is a
I feel like I've heard of this
multiplayer
one.
action RPG, not an MMORPG. It released in 2022 to very poor reviews and shut down 11 months later, which must be some kind of record. Why is it on this list? Consult the chart. It scored 13 points from Video 72, which was top 15 MMORPGs 2021 and 2022, which means the video this game appeared on covered a longer time period than this game lasted for. 104, Second Life. Early MMORPGs.
Second Life. Second Life was like a real world MMO. Losers would play this.
Relied on the novelty of being online chat rooms to make up for the lack of engaging gameplay mechanics, but Second Life fully embraces the chat room vibe. A virtual hangout destination with player-made worlds, player-made rooms, player-made clothes, and player-made everything, ultimately adding up to what could loosely be described as fun. Not a game as much as a culture.
This is the VR chat before VR chat.
Even the devs remind people Second Life isn't a game, it has no conflict and no set objective, and yet is still somehow online.
It is?
103,
No
Legend of
shot.
Warrior. This is the relaunch of Shards Online with enough changes to qualify as a new game. Ultimately the same core systems though. 102, Adventure Quest Worlds. Oh,
Ugh.
Adventure Quest, my beloved. I adore this game, but it just never quite saw mainstream success. Launching in 2008
don't think it looks good.
and bringing the world of Flash-based art
It looks like something that I would have played as a kid on Game Max or Gamer Max or something like that.
games into the
GamerMax.com.
MMO landscape. Set in the world
Is that
of
Legally
Adventure
Different
Quest,
Naruto?
but playing similar to Dragon Fable, light-hearted and fun, and somehow
Is that Legally
still
Different
going.
Ash Ketchum?
101, Neverwinter Nights. Not technically an MMORPG. Neverwinter Nights is more of an RPG toolkit made for the Neverwinter game. I've made a full replay and review over on my second channel, Josh Strife Plays. But enough people have used the toolkit to make permanent, persistent online servers with unique rule sets and MMO-style gameplay, which means it's more of an MMO than some other games on this list. Plus, it is still going. Finally, we reach the top 100
It doesn't
MMO
look
games
bad.
as chosen
I mean,
by
visually looks
scientific
okay.
method.
Combat looks
Remember,
alright.
if you disagree with any of this, you're disagreeing with science. Kicking off the top 100, we have Vindictus, a fast-paced action MMO released in 2010. Originally called Mabinogi Heroes, it is set in the same world as Mabinogi, but focused on instant-based dungeon battles and
With the girl that hot,
combat.
I mean, I feel like it would have been all over the media.
Still remarkably fun. 99, Project Ragnarok. Not to be confused with Ragnarok Online. Project Ragnarok is an action MMO based on Norse mythology. The trailer dropped in 2021 and it's still not out yet. 98, Identity. Identity was advertised as a modern-day open-world MMO with no levels and no grinding. What it actually was an
Basically pre-GTA 5.
overpromised scam. Go and watch Kira TV's excellent video covering the whole thing. It's insane. Perfect example of why you don't hype a game up and put it on a top 10 list until it actually launches. 97, Soul Worker Online. Soul Worker is an over-the-top, cel-shaded anime action MMO with super archetypical characters and perhaps the worst line in MMO history, one I cannot forget to this day. If you choose to play as the edgiest of edgelord protagonists,
God, you played
he
this
says to
game.
the first female NPC he meets, "The female figure is a feast I couldn't bear to forego. Could we arrange a date for dinner later?" I haven't felt truly clean since playing this game.
That shit's smooth. That shit's smooth. Him and his fedora. He's tipping it back.
96, Dark and Light, a 2006
Okay, I played this game. This game had a super neat concept. It is definitely not an MMO. It's a survival game for starters. Secondly, it's basically like a bunch of creatures from mythology and other fantasy realms, all pretty much mashed into one. It's like an Ark survival-like game with magic. It's actually kind of a neat game, and I'm sad that the devs abandoned it.
MMO, which died in 2008 and then returned in 2017 as a survival sandbox RPG. You could capture creatures by having players watch them for several real-world hours, which is difficult with no players. Still on Steam, still in early access, but we can safely say it's definitely dead. 95,
It's so
Boundless.
sad. It
This
had
is
such a neat
child-friendly,
concept.
chunky Minecraft-style survival MMO with open world and building, and you know the drill by now. Released in 2018, still online, but bleeding players. 94,
Bleeding players.
World of Tanks. Well,
Wow, in the top 100. I
Tanks
was
is
wondering
like
when
World
this
of
was going to
Warships,
come
but
up.
with less ocean and more floor. Imagine taking Disney's Cars, but instead of cars, it's tanks, and instead of Disney, it's war. Advertised at you by every YouTuber, and
So
still
not Disney.
online. 93, Champions Online, a legally distinct superhero MMO featuring non-copyright characters such as Very Good But Not Quite Superman, Iron Guy, and Bartholomew No Parents, but his friends just call him Bat. Remarkably fun and still online. 92, Fallout 76.
Wow, it's all the way down here? I didn't think it was going to be clear down at 92.
Taking the most popular post-apocalyptic franchise and throwing it online, Fallout 76 famously launched with no NPCs because they were convinced they didn't need them. Players would fill in all of the roles: hunters, gatherers, quest givers, shopkeepers, and enemies. This was quickly changed, however, when someone realized it was a terrible idea. A subscription service called Fallout First was added. However, they forgot to buy the web domain Fallout First, so somebody else bought it and linked it to a parody site mocking the game.
Okay, Fallout 76 had a super neat idea. For starters, they didn't come out with that many enemy types. I mean, they had like the basic enemy types, and there wasn't really a whole lot of them, and they tried to really focus on the PvP element in the game. It checked some boxes, but it missed a lot. And I'm a Fallout fan. I love the shit out of Fallout. For starters, their narratives. There was like no narrative to the game. I mean, it was like a blank. It was like follow these notes about this lady that is running over to a city for whatever fucking reason, and it didn't have any NPCs either. So the narrative reason behind the story was kind of like mid. My roommate loved the shit out of it, but me, I didn't really have a reason to stay. I mean, it was gorgeous, had good visuals and audio. I mean, shit. Take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia. Okay, anyway, Fallout 76 has a decent idea, and I heard that the game's kind of made a comeback with their latest release of some raids and stuff, so it wouldn't be a bad one to check
saw
out.
a huge player boost thanks to the success of the TV show, so it is still online. 91, Brighter Shores,
By
the
the
latest
skin of its
MMO
teeth.
from Andrew Gower, one of the original minds behind RuneScape. We can see Andrew just loves him some tiles. Still a new game, but in the top MMO already on account of actually existing and being quite good. 90. Age of Conan. This old MMO shows us what is best
Really?
in life. A late 2000s game set in the brutal land
I've heard of this game. I've never played it. I know it's old shit.
of Hyboria, famous for allowing your character and many NPCs to be naked. An excellent opening
As
tutorial
Conan
section
fashion.
in Tortage leads into a vastly empty overworld. Still online, but probably won't last. 89. Dual Universe. Released in 2022, Dual Universe is a first-person sci-fi MMO all about gathering, crafting, building, and then flying around in space, asteroid mining, and then interplanetary warfare. It's just a shame that the fun bits of those are locked behind hours of the not fun bits of those. 88. Magic Legends. Magic the Gathering Legends was a very short-lived project, essentially
Magic the
reskinning a
Gathering,
generic
Magic the
top-down
Gathering.
Diablo-style hack and slash with Magic the Gathering characters and spells.
Oh,
However,
that's
it
a
had
card
almost
game.
nothing in common mechanically with the card game. Magic the Gathering Legends released into beta in 2021 and shut down only 7 months later. 87. The Division. Third-person shooter based on the Tom Clancy
I never played this game. I heard that the enemies were super bullet sponges, so it didn't make combat super great.
books. The Division released in 2016 and saw a successful sequel in 2019. The original is still online for now, but hasn't received an update in a while the second one has, so this original might not last that much longer.
Oh, sorry, I'm thinking
86,
Division 2.
Blue Protocol. Originally known as Project Sky Blue, this was one of the most anticipated big-budget Bandai Namco action MMOs of the last decade.
I heard it
But
flopped.
despite the massive hype, the Japanese servers will go offline in 2025, and the Western release, much to MMO Byte's chagrin, never even
They're trying to get into a Genshin Impact space. Genshin Impact booted them right the fuck out. Like, holy shit.
happened. 85. Embers Adrift, a new take on classic low fantasy. Embers Adrift seeks to capture the classic slow-paced RPG feeling in a big open world with the usual gathering and crafting elements, very grindy and very niche, and unfortunately because of its name, often getting confused between Ember Sword and Worlds Adrift. 84. Anarchy Online. This is a third-person sci-fi shooter MMORPG released all the way back in the ancient times of 2001. Going through several engine upgrades and multiple server mergers over its life, it is amazingly still online, one of the longest
Really? This game's online? This game's holding true, and some of the better looking MMOs are fucking dead? Wow.
running and most successful MMORPGs ever. It's even considered very positive on Steam to this day.
What do they have that would keep players? It's got to be like a super hardcore community.
83. Acheron's Call. This was the third mainstream 3D MMO ever, releasing in 1999, winning the Game Industry Award
up,
for
Rich?
Best All-Round Game, but unfortunately always
Hey, I'm
playing
doing stuff.
third wheel to the
How
titanic
you doing?
battle between Ultima Online and EverQuest. Acheron's Call remained online for 17 years before shutting down in 2017. 82. War Thunder, a massive free-to-play warfare simulator with
Never
planes,
played this.
ships,
I've heard
and
of it
tanks.
plenty of
Probably
times.
most famous for real players constantly leaking actual classified military
why I've heard of
documents
this.
onto the forums to prove to the devs that certain planes, ships, or tanks need to be nerfed or buffed accordingly. Which means it's possibly the only MMO on this list which might be an actual threat to the national security
That is an absolute
literal-
gamer in the fucking government.
everywhere. 81. Sea of Thieves. This
Can you call Sea of Thieves an MMO? Open world survival game, maybe. I don't know about MMO.
game saw you and a bunch of friends take to the high seas as a jolly pirate crew, engage in
Because honestly, the server sizes aren't really that big. I mean, shit, if they were, you'd be facing a lot more
thrilling
PvP.
boarding battles against other pirates. So load the flintlocks, question what to do with the drunken sailor, and then yo-ho and up she remains online. 80. Pirate 101, a child-friendly but surprisingly deep MMO released in 2012. Combat encounters switch to a top-down tactical grid-style minigame closer to
Gross.
Wakfu or Advanced Wars. It's still online, and I'm incredibly happy that it's ended up at this position on the list because I can tell you one of my favorite pirate jokes. What did the pirate say to his mate on his 80th birthday? Aye, matey. Please like and subscribe.
Wait, what?
79.
What? On his 80th birthday? What?
In Cabal Online, a Korean MMO
Did I hear
released
that
back in
right?
2005, one of the first to use the freemium, mild-friendly but surprising Korean MMO released back in question what to do with the minigame closer to Wakfu or Advanced Wars. It's still online, and I'm incredibly happy that it's ended up at this position on the list because I can tell you one of my favorite pirate jokes. What did the pirate say to his mate on his 80th birthday? Aye, matey. Please like and subscribe. 79.
Oh, I'm
Cabal
80!
Online,
Holy
a Korean
shit!
MMO released back in 2005. One of the first
Just for
to
that,
use
Josh.
the freemium model of being free,
Just for
but
that
having
joke.
an actual cash shop with advantages in it. So of course it was massively pay to win. Cabal Online 2 launched in 2010 but died in 2018. The original, however, is still going strong. 78. Diablo Immortal. Do you guys not have phones? Really?
This is a fucking MMO on what? I guess. Who? They call Diablo technically, there's a bunch of people inside. I don't know if I can call this an MMO.
Leasing to middling reviews and
It's
extreme
trash.
criticism of the egregious pay-to-win cash shop, which was even changed after release because the colours of the Eternal Crests were so predatory. Nominated for Mobile Game of the Year 2016 and thankfully didn't win because if it had, game companies would have learned the wrong lessons about game design. 77. Tibia. Releasing in 1997, Tibia is one of the longest-running MMORPGs ever. Top-down classic RPG with pixel graphics, lots of text, and the famous level 999 door, which was opened for the first time in 2017. You can find YouTube videos of this. It was honestly underwhelming. Tibia is still going strong. 76. Swords of Legend Online, an MMO version of the popular
watched him
Chinese
play
TV
this.
show Swords of Legend. Lots of hype, lovely graphics, terrible Western localization, and shut down in 2023, only 1 year after its Western release. Now, when I say terrible Western localization, I mean this level of voice acting.
Why have you come?
Hey? My big brother let me come here. At the end of the duel, you landed a powerful blow on my Tai... At the end of the duel, you landed a powerful blow on my Tai Bai and Shen Mai acupuncture points. Was it not your intention that I come to the peak of Tai Bai at the appointed time?
Sword techniques are easy to learn, but beautiful jade is seldom seen. These are my handwritten notes. Study them carefully.
Fuck was that audio?
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother.
Someone needs fired.
75. Darkfall. This was a full loot PvP MMO released back in 2009 and shut down in 2012. The sequel Darkfall Unholy Wars released in 2013 but died only 3 years later. Fondly remembered, but never made a mainstream splash. 74. MapleStory 2. There is a frequent theme with sequels never quite doing as well as the originals. MapleStory 2 is no exception. Releasing in 2015 and bringing a blocky third dimension to the popular MapleStory franchise, it lasted only 5 years and proved not every game needs to be 3D. 73. Warhammer 40k Eternal Crusade. Before we had Space Marine 2, we had Eternal Crusade. Originally pitched as a massive open-world, multi-planetary 40k MMO, it got reduced in scope repeatedly and eventually became a match-based arena shooter. Still fun and
Really? I mean, I feel like MMO with Warhammer would be a fucking home run. Really? With their fan base? No shot. They didn't make it? That's
still
crazy.
some of the best online 40k combat we had, but fell to the taint of chaos and shut down permanently in 2021. 72. Arcade Chronicles. This was the working title of Arcade 2, which is already on the list. Stop changing the names of games mid-development. 71. Continent of the Ninth. Action MMO where you fight against the forces of the underworld. Released in 2012, usual Korean MMO stuff, third person, colourful and still online. 70. H1Z1. This is a strange game because there are now 2 games with that name. H1Z1 by Daybreak Studios, which just became Z1 Battle Royale, releasing in 2018, and the H1Z1 MMORPG, which changed its name to Just Survive, releasing in 2015 and being shut down in 2018. This rating is for the now dead MMO. 69. League of Angels. My anger at League of Angels being on this list at all is only calmed by the fact it did end up genuinely in position 69, which is nice. League of Angels is anti-art. It is an abomination to game design. It is overly sexualized and underly developed. Gaming as a whole would noticeably improve if we could take the source code for League of Angels and fire it into the sun. There are 5 League of Angels games, and if you ask me which specific game this rating refers to, the answer is I don't care.
He did not like this game. I could tell he did not like this
68.
game.
Life is Feudal. This was a hardcore, low
feel like
fantasy
I've heard of this
survival
game.
MMO connected to the game Life is Feudal Your Own. That one was offline. This one is an MMO with an opening voiceover by Sean Bean. It released in 2017 and then did the most Sean Bean thing it could do and die in 2021. The
Oh,
game
God.
got bought by a new company and they are trying to re-release it as a crypto NFT game. Hopefully it can just stay
No real gamer is gonna go for the crypto shit. No shot.
dead. 67, Tree of Savior, an absolutely beautiful Korean MMO. Tree of Savior, or Savior, both work, is a top-down hack-and-slash MMO with stunning art and quite good combat, but an incredibly egregious cash shop, still online and worth playing for the visual style alone. 66, Moonlight Blade, Eastern Martial Arts MMO, lovely graphics, but the PC release ties into the mobile release, so lots of loading screens and an autoplay feature, so another game that you don't have to play if you don't want to. 65, Project Gorgon, one of the more interesting MMOs on the list. Project Gorgon was made by a very small team focused on recapturing the classic, expansive, adventurous feel of games like EverQuest and Ultima. It's buy to play, which is unusual for an MMO, but has enough of a player base to be stable. And why not? You can play as a pig. 64, Tower of Fantasy. Stylized sci-fi gacha Tower of Fantasy hit the West hard with an aggressive marketing campaign and started as a decent game, but the self-titled Genshin Impact killer quickly burnt through a lot of the public goodwill it had with its extremely heavy cash shop. Still,
Yeah, I heard that the cash shop really just tanked this game, and it really put a bad taste in players' mouths as they went back and bought their waifus on Genshin Impact.
online, but
It must have been pretty bad if the guys who spend millions on, not millions, but hundreds of dollars on their waifus wouldn't play it.
losing steam. 63, Chrono Odyssey, another upcoming next-gen MMO. Chrono Odyssey is touted for a 2025 release. Enemy design looks genuinely creepy, gameplay looks smooth,
Looks
but
good.
the eternal question for every new MMO ever, will it actually exist?
Maybe.
Who knows? 62, Wizard 101.
I would have thought that Wizard 101 would have come up a little bit higher on this list.
A child-friendly but actually very enjoyable and very funny MMO
It's
based
got a nice
around
little card
collecting
game to
magical
it.
cards and building a magical deck of spells. Wizard 101 released in 2008 and is still going strong. Smaller adventure zones with combat encounters pulling you into a magical circle of enemies and allies, and then a turn-based spell-slinging combat system. 61, Crimson Desert, an upcoming game from
My understanding is Crimson Desert isn't going to be an MMO.
Pearl Abyss, the same people behind Black Desert Online. Not out yet, but apparently give Pearl Abyss enough time and they may make a desert for every single colour. 60, Skyforge, one of the stronger games on the list.
Skyforge is actually an MMO that I played. This is basically you're a god and you need to get followers, and you have ice magic if you pick the ice magic
Forge is
guy.
a free-to-play action MMO with a nice
Okay.
fluid combat system where you are a forgotten god, and by answering the call of your dwindling faithful and completing instanced-based missions for them, you regain faith and get stronger. That's really nice narrative.
If you're looking for like an MMO to kind of pass the time and you don't want to spend any money, this is probably one of the better ones.
Framing for a level-up system. Releasing in 2015, it is still going. 59, Guild Wars 1. Not strictly an MMORPG, more of an online RPG with optional co-op. Guild
My understanding is Guild Wars wasn't an MMO at all. It was just an RPG.
Wars 1 is one of the best games on the list, possibly ever. Releasing back in 2005 and still online to this day, Guild Wars uses a Magic the Gathering-inspired combat system, where you have multiple skills but can only set them up while in a safe zone, and then must take on the adventure zone with whatever set you give yourself, like drawing your opening hand of cards in Magic the Gathering. Several expansions and the ability to turn your old characters into mercenary companions for your new ones make Guild Wars 1 a game that every RPG fan should try. 58, Star Wars Galaxies. Probably the game I hear people wish for the most. Star Wars Galaxies was a massive galaxy-size Star Wars life sim MMO running from 2003 until 2011. Players could take on a variety of roles, but the game was ironically killed by the later inclusion of the Jedi class. Before this, everyone did their own thing, but to become a Jedi, you must perform a load of originally secret things. However, once those things were known, everyone became a Jedi. Non-combat classes became rare, the economy slowed down, and balance went out the window, because when everyone is special, no one is. Thankfully, Star Wars never made that mistake again, and every bit of media they've released since then has been absolutely perfect. 57, EverQuest Next. This was the production name of a game not at all related to the events of EverQuest 1 or 2, so you can imagine the confusion this caused. Next would be set in a world similar to, but not actually Norath, and follow a new story. It had the landmark creation system, which itself would break away and become the standalone MMO Landmark. We've already seen that on this list. The EverQuest Next project was discontinued in 2016. 56, Allods Online, a colourful, chunky Russian, not World of Warcraft, with your standard tab target, combat, quests, and airship PvP. It's most
Not World of Warcraft, are you sure? Is there bags on the bottom? Yeah, I see the bag. This looks like World of Warcraft.
Commonly known as the game which made people play World of Warcraft. It's still online. 55. Mortal Online 2. This takes
this game, it's actually kind of good. Even if you don't like the open world PvP aspect, there's like good aspects about the game. I mean, I got a couple videos of it on my channel back on YouTube. But, I mean, it's a decent game. I liked it. The combat was a little bit slow, but then it felt more fast-paced once you got more used to it. It's good. It's good.
Open world brutality of Mortal Online 1 and brings nicer graphics, a more fleshed out
definitely
crafting
emptier.
system, and a much bigger world. Priding itself on how unforgiving and brutal it is, Mortal Online 2 really wants the player base to live there. Focus on it, spend weeks building a base and then defend it in a bloody struggle against other people who have spent weeks amassing an army to take it over. So it's fun if you've got several weeks to spare and don't mind losing everything when
It's a super grindy game. Losing everything isn't actually that big of a deal, because if you get your crafting up high enough, that's the real grind. Once you get your skills up high enough, it's not a big deal when you lose stuff, but it still kind of sucks. Just don't go outside town to go.
you die. Very niche, but still online. 54. Chronicles of Illyria.
Oh God,
Kira
why
TV
is this
has
here?
an entire series of videos explaining exactly why Chronicles of Illyria shouldn't be anywhere near a top 10 MMO
Why
list.
is it
should
here?
be a warning, a rallying cry of
This is just a straight up scam. This guy scammed a lot of players. How is this here?
why you don't blindly support projects, and how trust me bro isn't a good design philosophy. Unfortunately,
That's not even Chronicles of Illyria. That's gameplay footage of Kingdom of Illyria, or something like that. Basically, he said that he was going to make an MMO. He shut down the company. And then all the money that people had donated to him, they're like, wait, what the fuck? I thought we donated money for you to give us an MMO. It's like, oh, no, I was joking about shutting it down. Pretended to reopen his company, and then he gave people this sim building trash. He pocketed the money and he fucking ran.
for all the backers who believed in it, it's offline. 53. Lineage Eternal. So Lineage Eternal was the codename for a hack-and-slash action RPG which was meant to be related to the Lineage series but was then changed and renamed to Project TL, which itself was then renamed to Throne
I love scenes like that where you kind of run in with an entire herd of soldiers. God, it looks so cool.
and Liberty. So Lineage Eternal and everything the videos discussing it were hoping for
Spot the main character.
has changed so much the game no longer exists. We'll get to what Throne and Liberty actually became soon. 52. Trove, a procedurally generated, child-friendly pixel
I hate
platformer with
procedurally
Minecraft-style building mechanics and actually quite impressive depth in the varied combat classes.
It's the
Trove
same
is good,
shit,
harmless fun,
different
and it
places.
runs on a potato. Still online. 51. Tarisland. A couple of years ago, World of Warcraft actually closed down in China for a bit. During that window, Tencent released the replacement Tarisland. It's
Being
basically
ornery.
Chinese World of Warcraft. Same art style, same gameplay, same overall vibe. If you couldn't play World of Warcraft, which you couldn't, you could dive into Tarisland and instantly understand everything that was going on because that was literally the point of it. It has since had a global release and is still online. 50. Peria Chronicles, another anime-style sandbox MMO announced back in the mid-2010s. Peria Chronicles was meant to be a cross-platform anime action MMO and Minecraft hybrid. It had a beta test in 2019, then Nexon cancelled the project. 49. Wildstar, another name I hear people lament the passing of. Wildstar was an aloof, quirky, zany, off-the-wall, self-aware and quite post-modern MMO set in a fantasy sci-fi retro-futuristic world. Mostly focused on very well-designed PvE bosses and more free-form movement with the parkour system, Wildstar released in 2014 and shut down only 4 years later, unfortunately taking the entire Carbine Studio design company with it. 48. Final Fantasy XI. Following the massive commercial success of Final Fantasy X on the PlayStation 2, Square took their first foray into the MMO world of the Final Fantasy series with FF11. Releasing in 2002 and being the very first MMORPG ever to offer cross-platform play between the PlayStation 2 and Windows PC, it would then go on to be released on Xbox 360. Very successful, if not really annoying to actually buy and sign up for, the PlayStation 2 and Xbox servers closed in 2016. They
Looks
were
boring.
actually the last remaining online servers for any PlayStation 2 game. FF11 is still going today and shows no signs of shutting down. 47. PlanetSide 2. Fancy being dropped onto a massive planet-sized, never-ending PvP battle? Then PlanetSide 2 might be for you. Releasing in 2012 and still going, YouTuber The Spiffing Brit actually helped organize a battle which broke the record for single largest battle size, featuring
Really?
1,530 players and crashing the game. It resumed with a smaller but more stable amount of 1,240 players on the same server, all
Seems like
fighting
game
at
with
the
a
same
neat
time.
concept.
PlanetSide 2 is still online and will remain so until the Spiffing Brit decides to crash it again. 46. Elion. Originally named Ascent Infinite Realm and thankfully changing that name in development, Elion is a more modern action MMO released in 2020, a spiritual successor to Terra in many ways.
My understanding
and
is
following the same fate
Elion
as
kinda
Terra,
flopped.
died in 2023.
Oh,
and
yep.
you can't blame me for this one because I didn't make a video. 45. Revelations Online, a Chinese action MMO. Revelation Online released in 2015, bringing
With shots
extremely
like that,
over-the-top
it failed? No
characters
way.
and classes, massive weapons, jiggle physics. Welcome back, everyone. The game was praised for its flying combat and massive PvP battles, but they couldn't save it, and it shut down in 2024. 44. Camelot Unchained, another Kickstarter MMO. Camelot Unchained was being led by Mark Jacobs, the guy behind original Dark Age of Camelot. Announced back in 2012 and focusing on realm versus realm PvP, much like the original Dark Age, it had 11 years of beta tests, update emails, and escalating promises, but still no
PvP should only be a section of the game. It should not be the whole game, in my opinion.
game. To any budding game developer out there, public hype usually has a 6-month window. If you announce something, demand for it will reach fever pitch in 6 months before the public move on to something else. Camelot Unchained is now 13 years out and still no game. 43. Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, another ambitious
My buddy, Marcus, he actually played this game and he really liked it. I tried it and I thought it was boring as shit. That was the slowest combat I think I've ever seen in my life. I did not like it at all. I gave it a solid try. By solid, I mean I played it for 5 minutes and then went back to playing something else.
project from EverQuest visionary Brad McQuaid is Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. Unfortunately, that project involves the words Kickstarter, open world, and we need more funding, please. Pantheon has been hit by 2 major issues. The first was the saddening news of Brad McQuaid passing in 2019. The second is the constant feature creep promising more and more and costing more and more, meaning by the time one system even gets close to being finished, they've added another 2. Will Pantheon Rise of the Fallen have released when you watch this video? Will it release by the
Yes.
time I die? Will it
I
be
thought.
another scam or the best MMO
I
in
think
the
of a
world?
different game.
Who knows? 42. Warhammer Online Age of Reckoning.
Another
I still
Warhammer
haven't
game.
personally forgiven Games Workshop for killing Warhammer Fantasy with the End Times plot many years ago. Rest in peace, my Empire army. Although the old world is scratching my rank and file itch. Warhammer Online Age of Reckoning, cleverly abbreviated to just War, was a brutal realm versus realm third-person MMO where players worked on the side of either order or destruction. Releasing in 2008 and hitting 800,000 subscribers pretty quickly, that number dropped to 300k within months, which is still respectable. However, the game, like all niche things Games Workshop decide to try and do, lost support only 5 years later. The fan server Return of Reckoning has kept the game unofficially online and is still popular to this day, so let's not tell Games Workshop about that. 41. Ultima Online. Released back in 1997, Ultima Online was another cornerstone of the genre, an isometric top-down classic RPG set in a persistent world, one of the original open-world sandbox games. Led by the enigmatic Lord British Richard Garriott's in-game persona, Ultima was brutal even for the time. The game did have high-level computer-controlled enemies and dungeons, but the focus was on player interaction and player-created narratives. Friendships formed, rivalries grew,
Which
and
means
the
it
game got
failed.
10 expansions with the latest in 2015. Ultima battled with EverQuest its entire life, and their rivalry pushed both of them and the genre itself to greater heights. Today, the original Ultima is still online, but
Really?
the Ultima Online Outlands server, a more classic experience, is gaining popularity. 40. MapleStory, side-scrolling Korean MMO.
How did this game get popular? I mean, I know a guy who absolutely dumped his life into this game. How is this game popular? I don't get it. I don't understand it.
MapleStory is a cutesy action fighter with a host of classes and loads of different skills. I personally enjoy playing as Kane, the edgiest edgelord who ever did lord over an edge. Releasing back in 2003 and generating over $3 billion in revenue so far, it's one of the most successful MMO franchises, the original even outliving its own sequel. Still online today. In fact, downloading MapleStory is one sign of a millennial midlife crisis. 39. DC Universe Online. Back to superheroes, but officially branded this time. DC Universe Online released back in 2011 and let the player create a superhero from a bunch of different choices, such as flame powers, electric powers, or the greatest superpower of all, not friendship, being born a billionaire. Still online today with a very positive rating on Steam, a healthy sized player base, and because it's a superhero franchise, even if it did die, it could just come back to life a few issues later. 38. Rift. One of the greatest fictional characters of all time, Captain Jean-Luc Picard, once said, "It is possible to make no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness, that is life." I feel this sentiment almost applies to Rift, a fantasy sci-fi hybrid MMO released in 2011. Rift started the player in the future after a cataclysmic event, then sent them back in time to prevent said event, focused on groups of players battling giant rifts in reality. The gameplay was solid, the job system was interesting, the classes were varied, the humor was on point, so what happened? Well, Rift kicked off an aggressive advertising campaign with posters saying, "We're not in Azeroth anymore." Now, throwing shade at the biggest MMO in the world at the time may have seemed smart, but what it actually caused people to do was Google "what is Azeroth" and discover World of Warcraft, then play that instead. It could never quite pick up the momentum it needed to beat World of Warcraft and was acquired by MMO graveyard GameaGo in 2018. Rift is still online, but it's a shadow of its former self. 37.
Oh God, that's
Runes
funny.
of Magic. Here's a personal story. Many years ago, my friends and I all played RuneScape. We would come home from school or work and all log on at the same time. Then, when the evolution of combat happened, we all left RuneScape and had to find another game. They all went to World of Warcraft. I, however, went to a similar but lesser known game called Runes of Magic, so while I have a deep personal love for this game, I can look back and admit that my friends were right and I was less right. A World of Warcraft clone through and through, Runes of Magic is a grindy pay-to-win MMO with an unfixable memory leak bug and a dwindling player base. It does, however, have a pretty cool song by the band Van Canto called Magic Taboria, so it's got that going for it. Still online, somehow. 36. Dauntless. Another not quite
This is not an MMO. Like, I don't even know if it's even close to an MMO. What the
MMO,
fuck?
more online co-op action RPG, Dauntless released in 2019, so it's one of the newer games on the list. Focusing on PvE, you team up with other players, then go and hunt massive monsters. Kind of like an online version of Monster Hunter, and it very much
It is very much a Monster Hunter clone, except it's more friendly.
captured that niche until Monster
children.
Hunter World released, then all the players went over there. Dauntless is still online and maintains a moderate-sized player base. 35.
I see why it was actually-
Destiny 2.
Now, this is a game I'm currently playing, Destiny, with my roommate. It's actually pretty okay. It's got its problems, though. I think narratively, Destiny needs fucking rework and somebody to take over the fucking studio. Because, oh my god, who's ever writing these stories needs to be put in fucking prison for how shitty they are.
Releasing back in 2017 on the PS4, Xbox, and
Gameplay's
PC,
good, though.
Destiny 2 is more of a shared world first-person shooter with RPG elements and small instances that you grind
It's an MMO on, like, the strictive terms of what an MMO is. Because there's a massive amount of players online, it's kind of an MMO.
again and again. Technically not a bad game, but has angered the community with several updates which actually removed content and added it to the Destiny vault. Playing any game
Which, them sunsetting entire DLCs, ruining characters' equipment. I get why they wanted a reset. They needed more maps, so they wanted to do something to get more maps. But it's fucking nuts that they just destroyed all those players' weapons. That's some rare shit. Those are some rolls that those guys probably grinded for. Raid equipment. So much sunsetted.
game for longer and getting less content is always a bad feeling. Still online and still successful. Just be aware the player base is passionate and no
They are absolutely passionate. Oh my god, if they seen their game rated so low, they'd lose their fucking minds.
Nobody hates Destiny 2 more than people who play Destiny 2.
That's a
34.
true
The
statement.
Secret World. One of my favourite games to play. How about an MMO set in the modern world focused on global conspiracies, shady government takeovers, or occult organisations? The Secret World was part traditional MMO, part augmented reality game, with in-game quests needing players to read real-world books to get references, research real-world battles or monuments, or visit hidden websites and crack real codes to progress. The gameplay was solid, voice acting was above average, the modern
Sounds like a neat
setting and
concept.
Lovecraftian mythological narrative connection was interesting for the time, but the augmented reality aspect didn't appeal to enough people.
Really?
Launched in 2012, then relaunched in 2017 as The Secret World Legends, which is still online, but the community are crying out for a single-player version to release. Because the people who do like this game really like this game and don't want to lose it if it ever does go offline. 33. Dark Age of Camelot, another one of the early MMO pioneers. Dark Age of Camelot focused on realm versus realm, player versus player clashes, set after the death of King Arthur with a more grounded, classical fantasy approach. Releasing back in 2001, the original servers could hold up to 20,000 players per world, which is still impressive to this day. However, they limited themselves to 4,000 for stability and to reduce player clutter in major cities. It was nominated for the 2002 Massive Multiplayer Game of the Year award, which it lost to The Sims Online. Dark Age of Camelot is still online today and still enjoyable until the opponent discover the amazing power of spamming bows on bridges. 32. Phantasy Star Online 2. The Phantasy Star series started back in 1987 on the Sega Master System. I still have my Sega Master System from my childhood, and I'm really showing my age here. Phantasy Star Online 1 released in 2000, then Phantasy Star Universe in 2006, but it was Phantasy Star Online 2 which really hit the mainstream. 9 starting classes, 4 more advanced ones, and unlike the original which focused on linear, randomly generated dungeons, PSO2 has a more open world focus. It made over $1 billion and is still Phantasy Star Online. 2. 31. Path of Exile. We're almost 220 games into the list. Still saying Exile? Not really.
This is like an MMO, again, on the strictive terms. I mean, really, the actual open world element is not an MMO, but inside the cities, I mean, you run into other players, so technically it's an MMO, kinda.
An MMO, but still a damn good game. Path of Exile is what happens when some guys who really like Diablo thought they could make a better Diablo and just kind of didn't stop until they actually did. And then they kept going, and now we're all very worried about them because they cannot seem to stop making it. Released in 2013, Path of Exile has gone through time-limited events called Leagues, each league lasting a few months. I've always talked about quit moments in games. Leagues are designed...
I play these games for the RPG elements more than I do the actual gameplay. I mean, I like the gameplay, but only as long as there's a story. If there's not a story, then why the fuck am I here?
...as return moments. A top-down hack-and-slash RPG with about as many items as it has systems, it's still very much online. The sequel, Path of Exile 2, is in early access now. I'm enjoying it. They even sent me this cool puzzle box, which I'm sure is totally safe to open. 30. Perfect World, one of the most successful Chinese MMOs ever. Released back in 2005, Perfect World has seen 20 expansions and is still going strong today. However, there is another MMO being made called Perfect New World, and the name of the company making these games is Perfect World Games, so you'll be forgiven for getting them all a bit confused together. 29. Lineage 2. Released back in the ancient times of 2003, Lineage 2 is a prequel to the first Lineage. It then had its own prequel, Lineage 2 Revolution, released on mobile in...
I dislike it when MMOs do stuff like this. They put a bunch of copy-pasted enemies inside a fucking cluster, and your goal is just to go over there and beat the shit out of them. I get it. It's super shiny, super things dying, numbers flying. Black Desert does this, and I don't like it.
In 2016. Then it itself was remade for mobile and released as Lineage 2M in 2019. Because as much as we hate it, the future is mobile gaming. With over 100 million users since release, Lineage 2 was vastly successful and still online, actually outlasting the Western servers for Lineage 1, which was shut down in 2011. 28. Arcade Unchained. Another name change which confuses players. Arcade Unchained released in 2019 and was the same game as the...
How many Arcades are we going to get here in this list?
The original Arcade, but wasn't free to play. You had to buy one of the 3 entry packs. But this was changed, and now Arcade Unchained is a subscription game. Then they added the Arc Pass battle system. Then in 2023, Arcade Unchained was merged back into the original Arcade and is now just Arcade. Then 1 year later, the European and American servers shut down. So it is allowed in 27. Throne and Liberty. Here's another example of MMO name changes really messing with these results. Lineage Eternal was announced in 2011, a sequel to the Lineage franchise, but then in 2017 was rebranded to Project TL, then 5 years later...
Throne and Liberty, I actually think is an okay game, but they really got to redo their combat. Hey, how you doing there, Chip?
In 2022, rebranded again to Throne and Liberty, and then 2 years after that, released in 2024 and gained 3 million players in 1 week. A very successful launch, an Eastern hack-and-slash action MMO with stunning graphics. The recent roadmap announced one-man dungeons and 12-player raids coming soon.
Yeah, sure,
Hopefully
absolutely.
Throne and Liberty has more staying power than other Eastern action MMOs on this list. 26. Dungeons and Dragons Online, one of my personal favourite designs in gaming.
I tried this game, it's actually kind of fun.
DDO is the best compromise between the freeform imagination of the tabletop system and the restrictions of an online video game. A classic third-person MMO released back in 2006, the level cap is remarkably low and new content gets released for all levels quite often, not just endgame. Because when you reach endgame, you're encouraged to reincarnate as a new character and a new class, gaining a small stacking buff every time you do, which allows you to level through a new starting adventure. Loads of classes and more player choice than most modern MMO games, DDO rolled a natural 20 and is still online. 25. EverQuest, the world's prettiest chat room. EverQuest, while not being the most well-known, is probably the most influential MMORPG of all time. Even if it wasn't the first and won't be the last, it codified and standardized the design we know today. It is the foundations that many others have built off. Releasing back in 1999, it is not only still online, but has received over 31 major expansions, with one every December since 2017. EverQuest now frequently launches time-locked progression servers where all players start with only the base game and expansions are unlocked for everyone every few months to recreate that feeling of progression. Or you've got Project 99, the game as it was many years ago with fewer quality of life updates. Slow, unforgiving, and immensely rewarding. I made a video called I Played EverQuest for 100 Hours, Should You? And after doing that, I have a deep respect for what EverQuest did and is still doing. 24. Warframe. Is Warframe an MMO is a question for the Tenno scholars. Is Warframe a fantastic, fast-paced space ninja parkour shoot-'em-up with epic
Alright, what'd you send me here?
Magic, it's everyone to Puzzle Park. Lights and magic, it's a work of art.
Seen Dark Souls armor?
You enter here, the fun
Peach?
will start. You're mine, you'll never part. Oh, it's going to be so much fun getting to watch you pay for all you've done. 3, 2, 1. There's wondrous fun and games inside. Attractions big and small, like our 100-foot-tall mega slide that slaps you on the wall. Never so fast. Stop right there.
You better be prepared, cause we'll end this when we find your secret lair.
I'm having fun. Let's stay. No, cut it out. There's no time to waste.
He's just this way. Today we'll teach him justice, then we'll make him pay. Whoa!
Step right up, my friends, to Puzzle Park. Sights and frights are for the faint of heart. Don't you break away, you won't get far. Keep your hands and legs inside this ride. It's right about to start. Don't take my word for it.
Kind of a catchy tune, but I don't know what the narrative here in the story is.
The food here is a must. In addition, with your ticket, you get Puzzle Vision Plus.
Try the gift shop.
You can't miss it. And get yourself a plush. Mr. Puzzles is a fella you can trust.
Evil demons, go to hell. This isn't really going
Who the fuck is
Don't
that?
have much more ground to tread. The engine room is straight ahead.
Engine room.
Right up, my friends, to Puzzle Park. Sights and frights are for the faint of heart. Don't you
Why is the insane clown posse there?
keep your hands and legs inside this ride.
Who the fuck is that guy?
About to start. Well, it took you a while to find out, but you found my secret hideout. Like to say congratulations, but it's time for you to die now. We've got to end this ride.
You go left.
I'll go right. Bet you thought you would win this.
What is up
ride,
with Mario's
but you
mouth?
The wrong side. Oh, you can't just barge in here and act like you're in charge. I'd like to see you dodge a barrage of flaming rockets and tell me you're feeling large. You're as good as a victim.
Say goodbye to your park. There's nothing your magical wishes can do to stop us.
You've just been trying to convince it. You think you've won? Well, I'm gonna turn your filthy corpses into gushing mounds of blood. Your lives are as good as done.
Well, that took a dark turn.
I know there's a scared little child inside you. He's hiding away, wouldn't want me to fight you. It's not too late. Reach out and take my hand, and we can change your fate.
Oh, Maggie dear, that child is gone. 6 feet under, right where you and your stupid friends belong. Step right up, my friends, to Puzzle Park. Sights and frights are for the faint of heart. Don't you break away, you won't get.
Oh, I see. It's an entire series of videos. Okay.
This ride is right about to start.
That's why it all seemed random to me. I started in the middle of whatever series this is. Okay, okay. It's got a catchy tune to it, to be honest. It wasn't bad. I was a little bit lost, but it wasn't bad at all. that blue Mario is called Message 4. Ah, I see. A character in the series I didn't know about. There we go. Whoa. What's up here? I gotta fix this. This thing dying on me. Oh god, what's going on? My audio is so quiet. The hell? Oh, that's why. I hit the volume button by accident. Alright, there we go. That's fixed. Turn it down just a little bit. That was a famous YouTuber called NSG4. SMG4 is Mario Rap Battle 2017. Oh, I see. Okay. No, I never heard of this channel. It's definitely an interesting song. I'll definitely have to look at more of them. Alright, back to this. Oh, Warframe.
Sweeping plotline is a question for the
69
26 million registered
Nice.
losers, and the answer is yes. Released back in 2013, Warframe is the gold standard for fast-paced, fluid third-person.
I have played the shit out of this game, and if you're got an ADD mentality and you want something super fast-paced, this is definitely one of the MMOs for you. Easily
Action
fast-paced.
combat with lots
It's
of
actually
jumping,
pretty
and
good
one
story,
of the games
too.
I'm glad I discovered in my worst MMO ever series because it's always fun to run some quick levels. Still online? Probably will be for a while. 23.
I'll definitely
Bless
check it out later.
Unleashed. It's time to unleash the Bless. Announced back in 2011 and known simply as Bless, it was a third-person action combat MMO originally published by Area Games. The Western release was cancelled, so the developer NeoWiz self-published instead, renaming to Bless Online and launching in 2018. Then they decided to reboot the game and re-release as Bless Unleashed in 2020, which is just about still going. 22. Star Trek Online. Space: The Final Frontier. Made by Cryptic Studios, the same
surprised there's
people
not been
behind
more
Netherlands
Star
Online,
Trek
Star
games.
Trek Online is similar. You captain your own starship, travel to smaller dungeons, explore them, and kill things along the way. Launched in 2011 and still online today. It's a competent MMO, but as a classic Star Trek fan myself, I'd say it's missing the procedural competence of the next generation, or the raw sexual energy of the original series. 21. Aeon. Another NC Soft title. Aeon, the Tower of Eternity, mostly just known as Aeon, is another Korean action MMO launched in 2008. It was one of the largest MMO launches ever, over 1 million players within 4 days. And the game made $30 million in only a few months.
Whoa,
Aeon was
Jesus
mostly about
Christ.
players joining opposing legions for battleground PvP, joined by their legion's NPC soldiers for a kind of PvPvE, and it's still online. 20. Star Citizen. Probably one of the most
Star Citizen, I tried it on my old computer, and it looked like my computer wanted to catch fire.
ambitious video games ever announced with a price tag to match. Star
Yeah.
Citizen started as the idea of a galaxy-sized space sim and recently became the most expensive video game ever, with development costs soaring past 400 million and capital raised hitting 750 million.
This game puts Mortal Online to shame.
$750 million, eclipsing second place Grand Theft Auto 5 at a paltry $270 million. You can buy ships in the game for lots of real-world money that they promise will eventually be released because Star Citizen is still being made. And until they stop adding features, which they don't seem to be doing anytime soon, it will continue to be made forever. For the amount of money they have raised, they could have built an actual spaceship by now. Not out yet. Let's see how well this video ages. 19. Crowfall. You know what we don't have enough of? Smaller developers raising millions of dollars on Kickstarter by promising an incredibly ambitious niche new MMORPG using some new gimmick like a real-time strategy campaign, then taking said money, delaying the game, finally releasing a disappointing mess, and then shutting down only 1 year later. Anyway, here's
I think we definitely have enough of these.
Crowfall. 18. Terror. One of the first MMOs I apparently killed, and after getting a taste for blood, I've gone on to kill many more.
it is not his fault for some of these MMOs dying. I mean, I think what it comes down to is just development problems and graphical errors and players just not finding the game interesting.
Terra, the exiled realm of Arborea, was a super-fast action combat MMO with over-the-top Eastern archetypes, such as the massive muscular warrior using a literal lance as a weapon, the slim and svelte lady with a gun larger than her, or just a child. Over the years, it became a mess of aesthetics. The monster and environment designs were awesomely over-the-top, but the cosmetics were garish and immersion-breaking, including a tiny police car you could drive around in or a collaboration with Attack on Titan, omnidirectional mobility gear. Terra, released in 2011, saw success, got renamed to Terra Rising in 2013 when it went free-to-play, then the PC server shut down in 2022. It's still alive on console, and I'm sure that final remaining player really appreciates that. 17. Ashes of Creation. Another
How is this game on here? It's not even out yet.
Kickstarter MMO promising to bring back the glory days. Ashes of Creation.
I'm happy
has
it's so
found
high
more
up, though. I'm
success
excited
than
for this
through
game.
hype alone, but hype can be a fickle mistress.
Yes,
Raising
it
over
can.
$3 million on Kickstarter, it promises a player-driven world-building idea. Guilds taking over cities, players defending or assaulting.
This game looks like it's gonna be great, but I mean, looks and is are two different things. We'll have to wait and see what happens when the game actually comes out.
Nodes to access their power, settlements creeping into the wilds, and roaming bands of NPC enemies potentially taking back the player territory for themselves. Announced in 2016 and having several public alphas since, it's still not released and still promising the world. 16. World of Warcraft Classic. You think you do, but you don't.
Just
But it
at
turns out
16?
you actually
Wow.
did. World of Warcraft is quite a popular game, but
I'm
with every
surprised it's
expansion,
so
people
low.
say it
I thought it was
drifts
gonna be,
further
like,
and
top
further
10
from
at
what
least.
made it great in the first place. So after Blizzard spent years telling people they don't want the game as they remembered it, they released the game.
The reason that Blizzard say that is because, you know, they slowly reformed the game to where it's more casual friendly. And they thought, since it's a harder core MMO, that it wouldn't actually go.
Game as they remembered it, and players loved it and played
That's
it a
what they
lot.
meant.
World of Warcraft Classic has slowly added back in the classic expansions, the Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King. Then they realized they were making the same mistakes as before, so following the same formula as EverQuest's time-locked progression servers, we're now getting WoW Classic, an endless cycle of relaunching the same game again and again and again and again and again. 15. Blade and Soul. Another
I mean, if it's printing money, why not?
classic Chinese wushu-themed action MMO. Blade and Soul released in 2012 and lets players explore a vast and rather beautiful landscape, defeating enemies with the combo system where you chain various abilities together to create new combinations. So successful it got a TV series adaptation in 2014 and then a mobile game, Blade and Soul Revolution, in 2018. Still online and still doing very well in the East. 14. RuneScape 3. Back in 2012,
Yeah, I figured RuneScape would be
released
up
an
here.
evolution of combat update, changing the classic, well-loved click-and-wait combat style into a new exciting mess of abilities, cooldowns, hotbars, and status effects, and it was bad and lots of players left. But now the evolution of combat system has been in the game longer than it hasn't. And in 13 years, they've had enough time to build on the strengths of the system, and RuneScape 3 is actually really good. With the new necromancy skill, an epic storyline following the God Wars, and multiverse-level threats, elite skills, and loads of new locations added, playing as an Iron Man allowing you to focus on self-sufficiency through gathering and crafting, combined with the gathering and crafting reworks, RuneScape is still tainted by the mistakes of the past, but give it some time and you'll find a solid MMO. I still consider RuneScape 3 the gold standard for quests and storytelling within an MMORPG, and the Needle Skips is potentially one of the most emotional quests I've ever played. Just try to ignore the cash shop, which is difficult because my god do they make you look at it a lot. 13. Lord of the Rings Online. The MMO landscape is changing. I feel it in the water. Much that once was is
Supposedly
lost,
it's supposed
but
to have,
none
like, a
now
pretty
live
decent
who
story.
remember it.
I mean,
Lord of
as
the Rings
expected
Online
from
is the
Lord of the Rings.
incredibly well-made MMO set in Middle-earth. You don't play as the Fellowship, but instead hear about their journey through tales and complete quests which help them in related ways. Boasting one of the largest connected overworld maps ever, you can literally walk from the Shire to Mordor, proving Sean Bean wrong. Very new player-friendly and still very online. 12. Neverwinter Online. I started my YouTube career many years ago making guides for Neverwinter Online, a third-person action MMO launching in 2013. Set in the Dungeons & Dragons Forgotten Realms universe, you likely know that place from Baldur's Gate 3. Neverwinter focused on action and combat over everything else. You'd start by helping
Which
Lord
is why the
Neverember
game
take back
survived
the
for so
city from the
long.
Nashigang and then become a demigod-slaying hero of time. Expansion packs related to classic stories from the history of D&D took players to the Feywild, the Underdark, Icewind Dale, or the multiverse of Spelljammer. Neverwinter also released with one of my favourite MMO things ever, the Foundry, a player creation toolkit where budding game designers could make their own environments, enemies, combat encounters, and quests, set within self-contained worlds that you could teleport to, and then players could take on those quests. I've played through player-made Lovecraft.
Now, I heard that Neverwinter's not doing great right now because of their pay-to-win aspects.
Crafty and horror quests, detective noir quests, even a sci-fi spy spoof.
And lock DLCs.
Some of these quests are the best things I've played in any MMO, but the Foundry was eventually taken offline. Then content like dungeons and raids were removed from the main game, and then the combat was slowed down. And Neverwinter, while still fun, isn't the action MMO powerhouse it used to be. 11. New World. Amazon clearly saw how much money World of Warcraft was making in the late 2000s, so only a decade later in
New World is not a bad game, not even in the slightest. It had a shitty launch. It had a really shitty, probably one of the shittier launches in MMO history. But it did okay. It's doing all right now, I think.
2021, they released New World. Hyped up for months as the first new IP big-budget MMO from a big publisher, New World released as a buggy, broken mess.
Oh, God.
Trading and duping exploits with the auction house, infinite health exploits by just playing in windowed mode and moving the window around, and the in-game chat box not being sanitized and accepting HTML input, allowing you to run rudimentary in-game code on any other player who could see what you were typing, such as calling up the image of a sausage held in the game files, but really big, or as we discovered, displaying a tiny white box above your own character's head, but make it so large that it fills everyone else's screen. We called this the flashbang and won a lot of PvP with it. These things caused the game to release to over 900,000 players and then plummet down to around 20,000 daily, which is still a respectable number for a smaller MMO, but New World didn't want to be a smaller MMO. The exploits were eventually patched, but the damage had been done. The game has now seen a few expansions and maybe
when gamers run into a game, it's the first impression genuinely matters, especially with modern games. And if the first impression, like New World's release, most players won't come back to that.
Like RuneScape, it will redeem itself in a few years. 10. Albion Online. Kicking off the top 10 with a shining example
I think Albion Online's shit. I tried playing it, and it was definitely shit.
of a player-driven PvP Kickstarter MMO actually succeeding. Albion Online is a top-down hack-and-slash MMO about grinding skills, gathering materials, crafting armor and weapons, then going into the dangerous world and fighting other players, dying because you got ganked by a team, losing everything and then starting all over again. Releasing in 2017 after a very successful Kickstarter campaign, Albion Online allows players and guilds to take control of cities, then set taxation on other players using the amenities within those cities like blacksmiths or lumber yards. The entire point of Albion Online is to be temporary. The low to mid-level resources are safe from PvP, but the rare resources exist in the dangerous zones. So build your arsenal, gather a team, go and get them, die, try again. No classes, you can switch out weapons at any time, which changes the skills you use, and a massive skill tree allows you to specialize in lots of things. It's also seen a mobile port, which is very good, and the whole game is still online. 9. EVE Online. It's time for spreadsheets in space. EVE Online is an anomaly in the MMO space. Niche yet popular, a slow-paced but incredibly quick, expansive space sim with everything from asteroid mining to more asteroid mining to sometimes even asteroid mining, and occasionally massive multi-million-pound space battles with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of ships and the premium currency Plex genuinely being lost. EVE is a game which knows its audience and despite its immense popularity is still considered somewhat niche. It's sometimes better to read about the insane events happening within EVE than to try to play it. Alliances, treaties, spies, rivalries, betrayals, and one of the most famous in-game players being a peace negotiator between some massive factions. EVE is sometimes Star Trek The Next Gen, sometimes Battlestar Galactica, and sometimes Red Dwarf, but it's mostly spreadsheets tracking all of the above. Seriously, there's an official Microsoft Excel EVE add-on.
EVE Online is probably one of the more popular space games, and I'm surprised Sebit doesn't play it.
Of course, it's still online. If it ever went offline, it would be tracked in hundreds of thousands of spreadsheets. 8. Old school RuneScape. Proving you don't need cutting-edge graphics or flashy combat, everyone's favorite childhood medieval clicking simulator sits firmly in the top 10.
I think that old school RuneScape is popular for two reasons. One, it's super easy to run. You can run this thing on a MacBook. Two, the combat and gameplay mechanics are super easy to understand, so even children can get it. And three, it's free. So I think that's why it's got such a large player base. I personally do not like it. I find it boring.
School RuneScape was Jagex responding to the player base pushing back against the modern changes RuneScape had been making recently, and Old School released in 2013. It was a snapshot of the game as it was in 2007, which is why the subreddit is called 2007scape. It has since become the most popular version of the game, gaining its own development team and brand new quests and storylines. A personal favourite, Old School RuneScape also released a mobile client in 2018 which plays exactly the same game but on mobile, so you have no excuse to have low agility. Just tap while watching Netflix, like the rest of us do. 7. Star Wars: The Old Republic. Not the first attempt at a Star Wars MMO, but definitely the most successful.
I was going to say, yeah, it's the most successful one.
And launched back in 2011. The last mainstream Star Wars film to launch before this was Revenge of the Sith in 2005, so the game wasn't exactly riding a marketing wave. Also, that was the last Star Wars film I actually saw. The Old Republic MMO takes
so
place
how are
canonically
you?
300
I'm good,
years
finishing
after
up this
the
video
events
from
of the Knights of the
Strife
Old Republic single-player RPG
We're in the top
games.
10 now.
It lets players pick a class and then play through a different, fleshed-out and well-voice-acted story for every single class, giving it huge replayability and making the Old Republic a legitimately good RPG in its own right.
So I tried this game and I felt like the combat was super clunky. It didn't feel fluid.
Online and still doing very well. 6. Lost Ark, the game I get the most messages to play.
Lost Ark has actually good narrative. I got thrown into this like Chinese area in this game, which I didn't really care for. Just got out of school. Hell yeah!
Lost Ark released in 2019 and came to the West in 2022. The fanboys get mad if you call it a Korean Diablo, so
It's
Lost Ark
Korean
is a
Diablo.
Korean Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. Top-down hack-and-slash RPG with gathering and crafting and absolutely no bots. Don't go to the fishing spots, just trust me, bro.
No
Still,
bots at
one
all.
of the most played games on Steam. 5. Black Desert Online, blowing people away with its character creator alone.
This game has amazing combat. Narrative is also great. I just wish that the enemies were not just stagnant clumps of flesh.
Desert Online is a sandbox action MMO releasing in 2016. Players can train life skills, build houses, kill millions upon millions of enemy mobs to earn the chance to risk a
I've probably got
small,
100 or so
minute
hours in
upgrade
this
to their
game.
weapon, or potentially gain a tiny boost, or break the whole thing and wish they'd paid not to do that. Black Desert Online does have PvP and is considered one of the grindiest, most pay-to-win games out there.
Yep.
Hardcore fans will insist it's not pay-to-win because you can pay thousands of dollars and still lose, and honestly, that just sounds worse.
So I guess
Of
you
course,
watched
it's
Madness?
Still online. 4. The Elder Scrolls Online. The Elder Scrolls series is known for incredibly memorable opening lines. Excuse the gloom of Daggerfall.
I didn't
Wake
forget
up. I heard them
immediately.
say we've reached Morrowind. Of Morrowind. Hey you. You're finally
Wait, whoa,
awake.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Elder Scrolls Online at 4? What? This list is shit. Shit list. Shit
Of
list, he's
Skyrim,
wrong.
or the latest.
He's wrong,
Wait,
shit
what do you
list.
mean I can't use the crafting bag without ESO Plus of the Elder Scrolls Online? ESO
That's
is
minor
a massive
detail.
MMO set in the fantasy world of Tamriel. Releasing in 2014, you choose one of 3 factions, then play through one
Maybe.
of 3 actually quite massive storylines. Featuring the amazing voice talents of John Cleese, Bill Nye, Kate Beckinsale, Jennifer Hale, Michael Gambon, Malcolm McDowell, and many more. The Elder Scrolls Online
All quests in this game are voice acted.
amazes me personally in its ability to anger the
How is it only in 4? That should be top 3.
entire player base. Repeatedly, with floaty combat, egregious monetization, repetitive dungeons, have very little content made around it, and yet still maintain a massive and dedicated player
Very little content? Shit. There are so many open world quests you could do. I don't even think I could ever do them all. There's so goddamn many.
base. Still very online. 3. Guild Wars 2. One of
It's below Guild Wars? Oh, you're fucking high.
my favourite MMOs, breaking the curse of a sequel never being as good as the original. Launching back in 2012, Guild Wars 2 focuses on horizontal progression instead of vertical. Meaning once you've got the best equipment, which can happen quite quickly, it's all about collecting different varieties and looks of that equipment and focusing on your fashion, which as we all know is the true endgame. All the usual MMO things of combat, dungeons and quests, but with added jumping puzzles, rewards for exploration and legendary items which take months to craft and look very, very cool. Guild Wars 2 has a free trial the size of the entire base game, and then it's buy once, play forever. Probably one of the best value games on this list. So we're finally here. The top 2 MMOs, objectively sort of, ordered out of...
I think ESO is better than Final Fantasy. I'm a rally. Don't do it to me. I promise I'll watch it. I'll watch it, I promise. I think, hot take, ESO is better than Final Fantasy.
of 250 games by a science-backed sort of system. Over 100 MMO ranking videos, all combined, multiple articles, weeks of work, and it's all come down to this, and you knew it would. Regular viewers will know my love for one of these two games more than the other. So I want to make it clear I did not plan this. And all the data and all the points and all the scoring can be double-checked.
There's 100%
In second
biasism.
place, we have a perfect tie.
Bullshit.
When I added up all of the points from this system, both World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV scored 493 points each. In the immortal words of Brass Eye, this is the one thing I didn't want to happen. World of Warcraft, the absolute behemoth, releasing back in 2004 and being so successful it warped the genre to it. And Final Fantasy XIV, releasing in such a broken state it literally blew up its own world, started again as a realm reborn, and was still successful enough to reach the top spot again. This battle is the modern day Ultima versus EverQuest. It is pushing the genre forward faster than ever, and we're probably in for a few more years of intense rivalry. World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV are both incredible games, and they are absolutely perfectly balanced within this system. But that still means they are joint second. So the top spot of objectively the best MMO ever goes to whatever game you like playing. And
that's such a lie, it's ESO!
The data actually proves it. People feel they need to choose a popular MMO instead of one they personally enjoy. Content creators like me are entertainers. These videos are for entertainment purposes. We are not the arbiters of quality, or the gatekeepers telling you which game you should or shouldn't play, and which game you should feel bad for enjoying. Use videos like these to gather data and expand your gaming knowledge, but don't use them as an all-knowing answer to what you should do with your time. MMORPGs are long-term games, and no one wants to willingly invest in something they know will die, but millions of people have invested millions of collective hours into games which unfortunately did die. And while seeing a game you love or a place you've lived in shut down is devastating, it doesn't make the fun you had in it or the friends you made through it any less real, valuable, or meaningful to you. It is a true fact of all good narratives that not all journeys last forever. And that is okay. Sometimes you set out to save the world, and you succeed. Like I did with Otherland. It's bittersweet that it's gone, but we can take solace and smile in the fact that because of our collective actions, it went complete. Find a game you like and play it. Speak to others playing it. Make friends, make memories, and enjoy your favorite MMORPG as best you can, because you never know when it will be gone for good. This video genuinely did take me months to make, and I did watch all of these other videos and note down all the placings and make this massive chart. It took far too long and it was inefficient, but ultimately this is an entertainment video. Don't let content creators like me tell you which game you should like. It's your gaming time, not mine. Play what makes you happy. Thank you very much for watching. Another massive thank you to all the amazing creators who worked tirelessly over the years to bring MMORPG content to us, and to the amazing people who support me on Patreon and Twitch, allowing me to make super long videos like this. You can support this channel from only £1 a month. Check the video description for links to our Patreon, Twitch, Twitter, and our Discord. And whatever MMO you play, have a great day.
Josh Strife Hayes is definitely one of my favorite MMO critiquers. And what I'll be doing later today is me and Mamba will probably be playing Destiny, and I'll be streaming it around 4. Other than that, I don't know. Right now, I'm kind of fucking starving. I haven't ate anything yet, and I want to make a burrito. Also, I am very upset that ESO did not get the top spot in his little list. I'm upset by that. He's absolutely right, though. If you... No, he's wrong. ESO's the best MMO ever, and I'm standing by that. He's a liar face and a fraud. Anyway, if you want to watch worst MMO ever or any video, Josh Strife Hayes is an amazing creator. He is a badass. Genuinely. Funny guy. One of my favorites. Run by down there. Stop by. Check him out. Alright? I gotta go to make myself a burrito. Mentally. If you see us in the chat, don't be afraid to hop in. Alright, later. Which one is it? Hold on. Stream ending.
scissors. Come on, could you maybe give me a smile? No, I ain't got nothing to smile about. I got no one to smile for. I waited a while for a moment to say I don't owe you a goddamn thing. I keep a record of the wreckage in my life. I gotta recognize the women in my life. Talk shit, but I love it every time. And I realize I know a sweet dream, but I'm a hell of a night. But I know a sweet dream, but I'm a hell of a night. No, I won't smile, but I'll show you my teeth. And I'ma let you speak if you just let me breathe. I've been polite, but won't be caught dead. Let her in, tell me what I should do in my bed. Keep my exes in check in my basement, cause kindness is weakness, or worse, you're complacent. I could play nice or I could be a bully. I'm tired and angry, but somebody should be. Come on, could you make